everybody, and welcome to day 37. Moving right along. On this day 37, I want to talk about something that I think we are all faced with in whatever years we are in our lives is the whole process of decisions. We are faced with decisions on a daily basis. It's everything from what do I wear, what to eat, decisions at work, decisions with family. We're always faced with decisions. But one thing that I noticed that seems to be very common is that a lot of times in the decision process, we make decisions that were more or less for the benefit of others and not for the benefit of ourselves. In my 50 years, I've learned that when faced with decisions that can ultimately affect someone else, a lot of times I'm making a decision about something that's more or less for the benefit of that person and not for the benefit of myself. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, number one, we just don't want to hurt people. I mean, most of us are generally people that just don't want to hurt others. So we make a decision that may not always be what we want, but more or less more for what will please them. But what if in this time in your life you took a chance and made decisions that were more beneficial to you personally instead of you considering everyone else? Would your life be any different, or would you feel a little liberated because you've made decisions that were more for you and more for the benefit of you than for others? This is a very hard thing to swallow sometimes because, I'm even currently being faced with a lot of decisions that need to be made, and, you don't want to hurt people. But it's almost like feeling a little liberated because I'm going to take control of my life and make decisions that ultimately probably will hurt other people, but it is what's best for me. I think a lot of times when you make decisions for the benefit of other people, this is where resentment comes into play. This is where you start making these decisions, and because you've made them for the benefit of others and not for yourself, you start resenting people. You're angry, you're evil, you're mad, you're depressed, your feelings are become overwhelming, all because you made a decision for the benefit of someone else. But what if you took a step back with decisions you are being faced with, understood your own personal net worth and what you deserve, and then you made a decision accordingly? I don't care what it is. It could be anything, everything from choosing to make something to eat and other people are involved, but you're the one that has to cook it, you're the one that has to do everything with it. So what if you made a decision to actually make what you want to eat and not because this is what everyone else is instructing you to do? It's just a commonality. We are faced with decisions every single day. And a lot of times I struggle sometimes with this whole decision process because I've grown into this point in my life where I actually want the decision process to be someone else's issue. I don't want to be faced with decisions too much anymore, other than what am I going to wear and how am I going to do my hair every day. I want the process, a little bit of the process of life to be removed from me and make it someone else's problem. But what I'm noticing, even as I approach 50, is that very few people are in that position. There are no men, or at least none that I've come across, that are in the position where they can take a leadership role and start making decisions for the benefit of the woman and the family overall. Because they are being faced with their own decision process and things that are affecting them that you just don't have room to fit yours into. So what do? You can make a decision and you can say, well, you know what, I'm going to stay in my own personal little box, and I'm going to continuously make decisions that are solely for the benefit of me. And it's interesting because to a certain extent, it almost feels liberating. You know, I struggle, we struggle with decision making process because we're just, we're, for the most part, most of us are very good human beings. A lot of times, the other process that we take with the decision making process is when we are faced with something, we have the decision to make of, do we retaliate or do we ignore? And we see this on social media all the time, right? We hide behind a keyboard because if we make the decision to remark, knowing that there's no there's nothing we can do, no one can come after us because we're responding via a keyboard. We make the decision to do so, and for some, they live for the thrill of being able to do it. So with every decision you make, you are faced with trying to make a decision about it as to, is it something that's going to benefit someone else and decrease the benefit for me, or am I going to make a decision that solely benefits someone else? It's the hardest process to go through. But what if you just turned around and you didn't make it a hard process? What if you turned around and said, you know what? If I'm faced with a decision of something that is affecting my life, then damn it, I'm going to make the decision that benefits me only. Especially if it affects my life. See, the hardest thing that we also go through is that when we're faced with a decision of being forced into something that we have no control over and no control to decide. You know, this was something, and this is what I said, I will never go into another marriage this way. This happened to me when I was married. When you are not given the opportunity to decide and someone removes it from you, it can make for a terrible, terrible situation. And that's exactly what happened to me. Things got discovered after the fact, and then I was left not being able to make a decision about anything because the choice of decision was removed. So you become resentful. So that's why I say whenever you are faced with a decision, when a situation happens and it affected you really, really bad, is there really anything to decide? Are you really now going to really make a decision about something that benefits someone else and it was actually done to you? I had to keep asking myself that question over and over and over again. Because all I kept considering is the other person. And I left myself out of that process. And I'm like saying to myself, what the hell am I doing? You can't make a decision and then make the decision that solely only benefits the other person and X's you out of it. That means you've achieved nothing. Except you made someone else happy in the process. You can't do that. You know, so I say, what if in this year, in 2019, when you're faced with a decision, what if you just took a moment and understood how this decision is going to affect you? And don't even consider the other person at all. It might make your life a lot easier and a lot, just more prosperous. And I struggle with these things a lot, with a lot of different things in my life, and putting my foot down and taking control of my own decision process, regardless of how it makes someone else feel, even if you love them. It's a hard thing to swallow because we always connect this whole terminology of love not hurting, but as I was told that, love does hurt. So I can make a decision to say that I don't want anything to do with that process of it, because I'm going to always live in the belief system that love does not hurt. And if you live with that and you're faced with the decision process, then maybe you need to reconsider that to whom you love. So I say this in 2019, I give you some more homework as I did in some of the other days or whatever. I say whenever you're faced with a decision, before you consider the other party or the other half of that, consider yourself first. Consider, if you say yay or nay, how is it going to affect you? Do not think about the other party of that. Think about just yourself for one moment and then make a decision solely based on that. Because I'm going to tell you, if you make a decision that is solely on the other person, you have X'd yourself out and you are still going to be back to square one. It's not going to make for a happy time. So take control of your life. Hashtag take control of your decision process and make decisions that are best for you. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow.